need to do something special, right? We're doing Mungos music, right? So we've all picked 4 songs. I don't really know what the criteria was, just good songs with it.
Well, it was up to you. It's like you'd pick 4 of your favourite songs, but you could pick songs that mean the most to you. You could pick songs that you just think are the best creatively. You could pick 4 songs that think that say something about your life, or whatever. It's up to you. It was up to the Mungos to decide what the criteria was.
Right. So
each individual Mungo.
Yes, we've got 4 tons of them to go through, man. They are really.
I don't think we won't have to talk about them for that long, will we?
Yeah.
I think
I haven't got
I
notes. I'm just
think-
going to say.
Well, no, I'll pick up.
Yeah.
You did do notes, mate. I saw you sitting there when you're meant to be doing your actual job, sitting right.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that though.
We're sure that's notes.
But it's not notes if I don't refer to them, is it? I just wrote what
So
I
you were
thought.
studying what you were going to say.
Well, I wanted to jot down what I was going to say about the Blue Nile.
well, it's a very special song for you, isn't it?
Well, it's a special band.
Shall we start with the Blue Nile then?
Well, to be honest, Tom, I'd actually like to start, if it's to me,
Alright, yeah.
I would
let's
actually
start
like
with
to start with Van Morrison's Higher Than the World
you. Of course,
from Inarticulate Speech of the Heart. And it's a song that I've included on my list. It means a lot to me because it was the song that my dad played just after I was born. He went home from the hospital.
Yeah.
And after giving birth to me, and poured a glass of whiskey, and he stuck that on, and that was my song. So Higher Than the World is what I was brought into this world.
Was there any reason in particular that you chose that song?
Because
for that
at the time he felt higher than the world.
moment? In that moment, he felt like Van Morrison.
And that moment he questioned COVID measures. But yeah, my sister has, I think hers is a John Martin song, so we both have songs.
What's John Martin?
Yeah, what's John
What's-
Martin?
What is he? What is it? Sorry,
What
what
is a John Martin?
Who is John Martin? He's like a
What species is it?
jazzy sort of guy. Portis, you know the Portishead song, the most famous Portishead song. I can't remember the name of it, but they covered it. So he's a sort of jazzy kind of guy, famously horrible guy, but very talented musician. But yeah, so Van Morrison Higher Than the World means a lot to me, and I think it's a really nice song as well. So yeah, that's my number 1 pick.
Right, my first song is T-Rex, Children of the Revolution, because I think it was like the first big rock song I really got into, which was like, I suppose also the first thing I was cognizant of really enjoying music. And I must have been about 11 or 10, I think, and it was in an advert on TV. It was in an advert for a game called Fable 3. And it was they had that song playing in the advert, and it was on for about, well, I don't know anything about the game itself, but I remember the advert because I was about 11 and I was watching TV, and it came on and it had that song on it, and I was like, damn, that's so like powerful, that's great. And it was my introduction to rock music, I suppose, and then music generally. And soon after that, I started learning guitar, and that was the first song I actually learned on guitar.
You still like T-Rex?
Well, that's the thing. It's not the sort of thing I would listen to very much now. But when I was about 13, as I said, I started playing guitar. I started growing my hair long, and I got into rock music. But it's not the sort of thing I would listen to now. But at one point, I was a big T-Rex fan.
Do you think your love for T-Rex diminished with your hair as well?
Do you know, I felt like that was coming. And I feel like that was below the belt. Okay.
What was your angle?
What, my love for T-Rex? I suppose you could track it, but I think I stopped really listening to T-Rex when I was about 18. I mean, who listens to T-Rex nowadays, really?
Yeah, they didn't really.
Yeah, they don't have the staying power
yeah.
of a lot of other bands, but I like T-Rex. I think Mark Bolan's great. You know, glam rock really hasn't had a revival, whereas other kind of 70s things have. But I still think it's a good song, and it just reminds me of being like an early teenager. And I still remember that moment of hearing on television. So it's quite a big moment.
I remember Morrissey talking about Cosmic Dance, or the cover of that album, saying that it really inspired him. It was his first time. Obviously in the 70s, he got a lot of men exploring
androgyny,
yeah. And it was the first time he saw anything like that. And he said it inspired him.
Yeah.
And he liked the sort of massive sound of it as well.
I mean, I like it. I think actually now my favourite T-Rex song is probably a Jeepster. I think that's a good song. But yeah.
Oh, actually, speaking of Johnny Marr, So that was his favourite T-Rex song.
What, Jeepster?
Jeepster, yeah.
Whoa.
What's the big T-Rex song other than Children of the Revolution?
Get It On.
Yeah, they all sound the fucking same. T-Rex, I think.
It's all 12 bar blues kind of thing. But yeah, that's just nostalgia trip, so I thought I'd put that at number 1.
Number 1.
Fair enough. Well, for my
I guess if you want.
sure. So for my number 1, I chose Superfly by Treacherous Orchestra.
Mm.
And I'm sure we all know this song because many a time I've played this on a road trip.
Oh yes.
Now the reason for choosing Superfly instead of the thing with Treacherous Orchestra is they only got 2 albums out, and a lot of their shit is quite similar sounding. But the reason I chose Superfly before, say, Numbers or something else, Hounds, for example, is just the idea it's a bit more upbeat and it has a bit more sort of playfulness to it. And we should know by now that my music taste is a bit more playful, a bit more upbeat.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was listening to your songs as well, listening to each of the songs before the podcast, you love a high tempo song.
I do.
You love a song that you can, spaz out in the kitchen to. Or whatever.
Exactly. And I just felt like that was probably the best example of sort of the more Celtic rock sort of genre that I quite like, because I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but the 4 that I have picked for this are not just standalone songs, but they are sort of representatives of a greater genre or a greater idea.
Mm-hmm.
So like this, for example, would be that sort of representative for Kid Rock, for example, because I could have gone for, say, Colours from Elephant Sessions. They were on the hit list. They were on the top picks. Because I had to go. I think I've made 3 Spotify playlists solely grinding down the amount of songs I could pick in. And Colours was on number 2, so it was almost there. But I obviously have to choose that one, not just because upbeat, bit of a banger, but that was the main song I remember from when we went to Stirling Castle and discovered Treacherous Orchestra on the New Year's.
Oh yeah,
Exactly. So I was like,
your love for Celtic rock was sparked.
Exactly.
I had a massive cold that night, that's all I remember about it. When being ill.
I remember as soon as the bells went, the fireworks off, they were like, right, fuck off now. Bye bye, go home. You
I
cannot stay here.
remember having to like huddle up with you in the Aidan and
Oh my god,
Cal's
that
living room
was
with the
so
heater.
cold.
Freezing.
we had sleeping bags, but we also had to like curl up by the heater basically. Dogs.
Yeah, the electric heater that was plugged into the.
Yeah.
I was honestly moments away from getting my sleeping bag on the nails, spinning you. It was that fucking cold.
It was freezing. And then the next day we got a jump scare and Cal walked in with his glasses on.
That was all. Was that the first time I saw you with your glasses in the dress?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It was when we went on holiday when we were 18 to London.
Of course,
After graduation or whatever. And that was the first time I saw you with your glasses on, like as a grown up. Sorry, when you were 12 or whatever.
I don't know who this is for, but I wear big, massive, silly specs.
They make your eyes like
So
maybe
tiny.
half a millimetre.
Are you on minus 14 prescription?
No, I am. It was less then, but it's actually been like minus 15 now.
Jesus, it was less.
Yeah, it was minus 12.
So you
Like,
did
it's
get
worse
it?
now. Yeah, it's getting worse now.
Oh, fucking hell. I was only like 2018, Christ.
Wait, what do they do it up to? Is there a point where they just say, just put up with the fact you're blind?
We'll give you a stick.
No,
Give it up.
they do it they can do it instantly on specs. I am the maximum you can have on contact lenses. I really should have more, but you can't get any more. And
What if you got really thick contact lenses that you had to like press into your eye?
well, you can get the longer they last, the higher they can make the prescription, I think. Because it told me I couldn't have daily ones anymore, so I have to have monthly ones.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you have to have yearly ones next.
I don't think you can
Have you ever considered a monocle?
But why would I have a monocle? 2 monocles?
Yeah.
A bionicle.
Bionicle.
I love Bionicle, man. It's great.
Bionicle.
But yeah, that was my number 1 pick. Superfly by Treacherous Orchestra. Over you, Callum.
Right, so I was thinking of a bygone time, right? When you had CD players in the car, right? And when I was a child, my mother would consistently have 2 albums in the drawer, and so they would basically play all the time.
Is that
And-
because she only have 2 albums?
No, she had loads of albums, but I couldn't. Whenever I put the new ones in, she took them back in. So they were her least favourite or whatever. But it was a compilation of Christy Moore's songs, who's an Irish folk singer, and it was a Nick Drake compilation. So I've done, and I like Nick Drake, that's why I've chosen it, right? And I've chosen one from that, which is At the Chime. What's it called?
The city bell, the church bells, or the city
At
bells?
the Chime of the City Clock, or
City
something like that.
bells.
Which is basically about how he's moping about being depressed. But it's got sort of cheery melody though. But I just think it's kind of nicely written, it's well written.
Is it what album's that off?
It's the album is off of let's see,
Lighter, Brighter, is it?
It's Brighter Lighter. Brighter Later. It's spelled wrong. I don't know how you'd spell it, but it's Brighter Lighter. BRYTERLAYTER.
I don't really know who Nick Drake is, to be honest.
I don't know.
It's a folk. Well, I like albums when it's this stuff.
So he was a folk singer in the sort of mid-70s, early 70s rather, late 60s, and he was never famous. He had extreme stage fright, and he used to refuse to perform in front of people unless he had his back to the audience, right? And he made 3 albums and was disappointed at his lack of success, and he probably killed himself.
Well, I think I have heard this story, so I suppose I have heard of him, but I don't really know much of his music.
He wasn't famous. He became famous in the mid-2000s. I don't actually know what the compilation is, but they made a film about him, I think, or a documentary at some point, and that had a compilation, and then that became popular, and people realised, well, this guy's actually pretty good. It's Sadie. He never became
When
famous.
Sadie died, he was good at music.
No, it's
I
Sadie.
know what they say.
I think Lighter
After
Lighter
song, I
was
recognise him,
was nail in the coffin, wasn't it? Because he thought, right, this is the record that's going to make me famous, and then
No, he did Pink Moon.
maybe it's Pink Moon.
But Pink Moon's a very depressing album. It's only about 28 minutes. So I imagine, well, it is 28 minutes, I know that because I'm looking at the thing. But I imagine he decided before that point that he had enough. It's also quite sad because in his first album, which is called 5 Leaves Left, he does a song called Fruit Tree, which is basically about how you can only ever be famous when you're dead, which is quite sad.
Artists only really get fully famous once they die off.
Is he now one of the richest dead celebrities?
He's not on there, no. But
That joke won't make sense actually, but yeah. For the audience, that's a wee in joke between that Mungos. So
We've let you in on something there.
yeah,
Something special.
A little bit.
Cal was singing with it.
Michael Jackson
Is the richest dead man ever? Which is, no, he is the richest dead man, which doesn't make any sense.
well, he was top of the charts in 2023, Michael. Like I know him. But yeah, basically. But I think something about the song as well. At the Chime of the City Clock, it's worked out. I think
What's it called?
it's called At the Chime of the City Clock, and it's basically like worked out. The rhyme scheme's very rigid. So it's. I think there's certain songs where it's. And I'll go more into this in a later. I think there's certain songs where the artist is obviously just. It's sort of flowing the way they write it, whereas with things like this, Nick Drake, this particular song, it's very rigid in how he's written it. Because there's a lyric with it. I don't know, it's like da-da-da-da rhyme, da-da-da-da rhyme, da-da-da next rhyme, and that's the whole song. You know what I mean? So it's a city freeze, get on your knees, pray for wealth and green paper, right? And then basically the whole song follows that structure. So it's obvious he's kind of worked it out. So there you go. That's why I've chosen that.
Nice. So, are you finished then?
Yeah, I finished it.
And that's Callum's number 1.
Well, it's not particularly in order, but it's
No,
not
just
so-
obviously.
Yeah, it's just the first one.
I
don't think I could
put mine
organise
in order.
I couldn't.
Of which you
Well,
think are the most
top-
important or most.
Well, Thomas said that his songs are actually representative of wider kind of types of music you like, and so on. Mine isn't like that at all. My picks are all very specific songs that I think mean a lot to me. They don't imply some wider association with the subject material. And also, I'm going to speak about them in order, probably of loosely my chronology of life.
Okay.
Mine is kind of chronological.
Mine's more for just I put them in order of narrative fun.
Narrative power.
Yeah, so you've got the treacherous orchestra to start, and I won't spoil them just yet. But you got one that brings you up. You've got a bit of a wacky middle, and then you got something to bring you down afterwards.
Do you know what we should do? We should link the playlist in the
I will put it in the description.
Okay, so I guess it's coming to me. So my second pick is Saturday Night from the album Hats by the Blue Nile.
A very special song to you.
Very, very special song to me. I have the album tattooed on my person.
Yeah.
Stamped on your body.
It's on my body. But yeah,
Face on that body.
Was that
I'm not
your
gonna
first
say
tattoo?
that was my first tattoo.
Yeah.
So if you see a guy with a hats tattoo in Glasgow, that's probably Mungo you. And I know a guy that works at, well, I don't really know him, I speak to a guy sometimes that works in a bar, and he is the nephew to Paul Buchanan, the singer from Blue Nile.
Oh, sure.
Paul Buchanan knows about my tattoo.
That's-
That's pretty cool.
Did you add him on Twitter? Be like Paul Buchanan,
No,
please.
that's a bit bad.
I think Bobby Buchanan's listening to this right now.
Well, I mean, everyone is, so
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
You know, just statistically, I would imagine so. But yeah. But yeah, no, the Blue Nile in general is sort of very important to me. It's probably quite a lot of my music taste is coming from my dad. He showed me when I was quite young, I just sort of fell in love with it. And it's the Blue Nile are really, it's sort of inexplicable why I love them so much, which I think is probably like most great loves. You know what I mean? You don't if you could describe it, you're not in love with it. You know, it's really it's. I think I've got a quote from the Wikipedia article from Hats that I thought sums the Blue Nile up quite well.
You went on the Wikipedia article.
I
You put a lot of effort, my god.
Exquisite music for the small hours in which little is said but much is revealed, which I think is quite good because
That's nice.
Paul Buchanan he never tells a story in his songs. He never really goes into detail about anything. The music is very based on surroundings, and it's based on sort of little moments, little sort of bits and pieces of a wider narrative that we're not really privy to. So it's something that you can kind of put emotion into. You know, the onus is on you to kind of put meaning into the song. So really, you can listen to the Blue Nile in any mood. Like I've listened to it a lot. Hats in general is kind of about it. I mean, it doesn't really have a narrative, but it's a bit about the sort of ups and downs, the highs and lows of relationships. But every song can kind of be interpreted as you know, fizzling, sparkling romance is happening, or it can also be interpreted as like this is the end, you know. So I've listened to it. Basically, I've listened to it through breakups. I've listened to it in like the midst of love and all that. I think it's just been with me my whole life. Very versatile. And Saturday Night especially is one of these songs that's just it's so understated in a kind of beautiful way. The lyrics would be, an ordinary girl can make the world alright, love me all the way Saturday night, which I think is quite nice, beautiful. So yeah, that was my pick, Saturday Night by the Blue Nile.
I know what you mean. Now you're saying a song can mean lots of different things at different times. Because one song that I didn't pick that would possibly not honourable mention would be Serge Gainsbourg's Shout Out Again.
I'm surprised there was not a Serge Gainsbourg song.
But La Javanese would be there. It didn't fit with the theme, but it is one of those songs where I've seen him do very slow renditions where he was like crying on stage and he got the audience with lighters to sing out the words to him. But then there's also renditions of like that song that's quite up tempo and it's like a dance track. Yeah. And I like that idea that the song can make you cry and like make you laugh or whatever at the same time.
I think the Blue Nile especially are good flags. As I said, there's almost no narrative in any Blue Nile song. I mean, in Hats, and it's all to do with moments or surroundings, or it kind of paints a picture. Like some songs in the album are headlights on the parade, the downtown lights, a light theme, you know, stuff like that. So it kind of allows you to put meaning into it. And I think it's music. For me, it's always been music. It's like walking through a city at night. Is kind of what the Blue Nile is, and the sort of most famous song, "Tints of Sound of the Rain," sort of based on that. It's talking about in a small scale, a city like Glasgow could be anywhere. It could be New York. You know, it could be anywhere really.
I find it interesting that the whole idea of the song having multiple meanings throughout life. I've got one that's quite similar to that.
Yeah,
actually,
it stayed with me.
I think that,
I think those songs are the best. But
I think that the Japanese wouldn't do it for it would do that, but for a different reason. Because I think Serge Gainsbourg, although he wrote in the foreign language, which I don't understand, the idea that his stories are very like they're all about wordplay, but also like using double entendre, puns, innuendos when talking about something definite. And because of that, one sentence can have 3 different interpretations.
Yeah.
Which is not the same thing as the words to a song being so kind of not.
It's not vague, but it's
Yeah,
they
not
they
vague,
don't
but
they don't go into detail basically.
so nebulous,
Yes.
like that they can take on different meanings. Because all my songs actually have, I think if you listen to them, they do have, well, the last 2 have very like a very clear, very distinct narrative purposes.
was that your?
That's me. Yes, I'm number 2.
Did you just do a big number 2 at the table?
That's me just
It's
waiting
very
my number 2
impressive.
for you boys.
Very impressive.
It's a very big number 2. Let's
Listen,
see if I can match it.
they had a lot of mass, so
Okay,
competition's on.
my second pick was Strawberry Fields Forever by the Beatles, which I'm sure everyone has heard at some point in their lives. Interestingly, I believe George Harrison said it was his favourite Beatles song.
Yeah.
It was I think he said Strawberry Fields and I Am the Walrus, which
Both
is interesting.
Lennon.
Both Lennon songs, both psychedelic songs.
Yeah.
But you would have picked John's songs, I think. Anyway, obviously a very famous song. That, in terms of the chronology of my life, would come after Children of the Revolution, that later on, it remains me being a mid-teen, and probably after T-Rex, I became a big Beatles nut, which I still am, which is strange because I guess the Beatles must have come after my love of music, which is strange for me to think. I would have thought they'd gone hand in hand. But yeah, that was obviously John Lennon's song. John Lennon was starting to become more psychedelic, more introspective, and he was doing Dylan-esque vocal, lyrical experimentation and so on. And it reminds me of being a mid-teen, really being into the Beatles, and then I started to read kind of serious literature deliberately. And I was reading things like Jack Kerouac, G.D. Salinger, things like lots of beat stuff like Allen Ginsberg as well. And it reminds me of that moment in my life, and kind of starting to experiment, I suppose, or deliberately seek out things that were weird or things that I thought were interesting philosophically and so on. And yeah, obviously I did have to put a Beatles song in there because I'm a big Beatles nut. And I just think it's just a great song, Strawberry Fields Forever. Yeah, it was a double A side with Penny Lane.
How do double A sides work? I've always wondered this.
I think
How do they catalogue it?
I think the only difference is that if it charted, both songs would be credited as the song that had charted.
Right.
Whereas traditionally only the A side would be charting.
Does it cost more? A double A side back in the day.
What do you mean?
You would imagine it costs more than the normal single.
What do you mean to buy?
Yeah.
It's like 2 heavy hitters you get there. And
I don't think so.
Debates.
I mean, really, back when they used to actually have 4 songs on singles sometimes, right?
no, it's enough space.
It's an EP.
Hmm?
It's an EP if they have that. Surely.
No, singles should have 4 songs on them.
No.
The Smiths did that always, didn't they?
Not always, no. I mean, the first release they did was Hand in Glove and Suffer Little Children. Well, that's the B-side, I think.
I'll tell you something. The song overhypes the place quite a bit.
What?
Because I went to Strawberry Fields.
That's
You have to be A kids to enjoy that.
I've been to Strawberry Fields in New York as well.
Liverpool.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I've been to one in New York, but obviously it was
What is Strawberry Fields?
It's
like a
well,
cafe.
nowadays it's just that community centre.
Surely they could have spruced it up a little bit
No.
because it was a massive song.
Wasn't it like the Strawberry Fields in Liverpool that he sang about? Wasn't it like a hospice?
It's like some kind of like accord thing.
Yeah,
And they've actually used the funds to rebuild it all into this more modern building thing that they have now.
It was a
but it does look
Victorian
depressing.
kind of like institutional building in the middle of a park.
Yeah.
And there's a lyric in the song where he says, "Strawberry fields, nothing to get hung about," because you couldn't go into Strawberry fields, it was a private park. And
Yeah.
John Lennon, as a kid, once asked his aunt, "Is it illegal to go into Strawberry fields?" And he said, "Well, you won't get hung over it."
That's right
Um,
next to the houses.
What's the one in New York?
Just the
Is that in Central Park? That
there's a section of Central Park which
Yeah.
is near the Dakota building, which they renamed Strawberry Fields after he died.
one?
But it's
I'll look
interesting
that
is
up.
if you look at the original like Victorian 19th century red brick building that was in Strawberry Fields, it's very similar architecturally to the Dakota building beside Strawberry Fields in New York where he ended up living,
And dying.
which is a coincidence. Spooky.
Speaking of Beatles stuff, right? Aidan's got a special talent, right? You know that we think people do when they hear 1 second of a Beatles song, they can do fucking all. I think we might get copyrighted for this.
Yeah, we
but-
can't do this on the
No,
podcast.
but it's going to be like I'm going to
What is it? Strawberry Fields.
I'm going to play fucking nothing from this, and he'll get it. Right, hold on. I'll play a second.
This is going to be embarrassing.
Dear
don't it?
Prudence.
Fucking hell, right?
You got
I'll do another one, right?
You got it? Well done.
I'll do another one, right? Fucking
It's
hell.
Hey Bulldog.
Yeah, did that one too long. Fuck's sake, man. Sorry. Right, we'll do another one, right?
He's already tested this in his house because I told him that I had seen the Jack Black
Jack
clip when he does
yeah.
it, and I was like,
Not
that's
Jack White.
Oh, sorry, not Jack
Jack Black.
Well, that's an easy mistake to make. Jack White did it, and I was like, watching it, that's so impressive.
That was just one chord.
Yeah, play that again, please.
Just the whole thing again.
No, just that.
Yeah, the whole song, please, come again.
The Long and Winding Road.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
it wasn't
can you
that
play the song that you just?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, that's Now and Then.
one. Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's impressive.
Even got the new one.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
But it threw me there because I didn't recognise it, but I realised it was.
One, two.
Right, we'll do one more. We'll do one more just to demonstrate.
Oh yeah, it's been demonstrated.
No, but it's good, isn't it?
How
It's
do
impressive.
you feel about the new Beatles? No, we're talking about it.
Is that the new one?
It wasn't it at the yeah Now and Then's a new one. I didn't like it very much. I mean, I did like it. You know, it's not. I like basically anything John Lennon could have written, but it's not a Beatles song. It's a song that he wrote in '78, 8 years after he'd left the Beatles. That might have ended up as an obscure B-side to a double fantasy track. It's not a Beatles song. It never would have been a Beatles song.
The new Stones song's better, but they are, I mean, other than Charlie Watts, they're still all kicking that ball.
Yeah, that their song was better, but I think it's unfair to. I mean, it's literally they are digging up real throwaways now, just to
Make it quick work.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But
The time
are
was
we
gonna
done
pay for
testing
something.
me?
No, I'll do one more. Hold on. I'll find a fucking difficult one.
Don't do an outtake or something.
No, I'm not. I'll do a difficult one.
I don't think there's any band that can do this for,
No.
to be honest.
Maybe like
Mate,
a
we
wee
did it
Transformers theme
for-
tune.
we-
Sad as that is.
Yeah, we did it for about 20 minutes, man. The guy was getting,
I entertained you for 20 minutes.
oh, it was crazy. He was getting like mad stuff, like me and Mr. Mustard and that.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's not-
Sad and impressive. Probably not impressive.
Rocky Raccoon.
that's fucking
Okay,
metal.
hell, man.
Hell.
Right, there we go, that's cool. Then,
Yeah,
man.
so I can't guess any Beatles song pretty much. 1 second.
The only one I couldn't get when we were doing it were like ones from like,
Yeah, he gave me the Ich liebe dich, Ich liebe dich, German version of She Loves You.
I bet you fucking got that, I know.
Yeah, I got it after a few bars, but I didn't get it after a second.
What did you even say the Eggley one deep German version?
No, because I think they put a few bars and I was like, are they singing in German? So I was like, that must be She Loves You.
Right, Tom, take it away.
Number two.
Yeah, that's my number 2.
Actually, number two.
That's my
So-
big, fat, stinky number 2.
Oh, prepare to get an even bigger, fatter, filled with corn. Number two.
Nice.
Because I'm dropping Twilight by ELO as my number two.
From-
Number two on the greatest album of all time, Time by ELO.
I don't
Aye,
know.
to be honest, Tom, don't even think that's a great skill.
No, it's by far not.
I
It's
think-
only one of the worst.
I think we all have terrible taste, but Twilight by ELO, the greatest retro sci-fi song of all time, I would say. It's got exquisite vibes.
Chaplin.
I don't know why you're laughing. I'm giving you.
Yeah, no, it's just I just feel like it encapsulates everything that all my creativity, all my creative style can be reflected from material like yellow. The idea of how it conveys the idea of retro sci-fi through sound is a very powerful thing, I think. And it was one of the first songs that I was like, you know what? I feel this story. I feel the vibe. I feel the world. I feel a world through this. Because it's very rare that a song can construct an entire world for you, at least in my opinion. But that was one of the first that was like, whoa, I'm in it now. I'm in this zone. It brings me to a zone. And I can think things, I can imagine things, I can takes you to a new world.
Mm-hmm. I was listening to ELO the other day on my run.
Wow.
And it got me my current PR for my 5K.
See?
So it's invigorating stuff.
It does. Honestly, it's a really inspirational song for me, and I feel like most of the time when I'm coming up with my best ideas creatively, it's usually listening to overall time, but a lot of the time Twilight. Don't know why. It brings out the best in me.
Not the same song, but I also have a kind of nostalgic memory of this particular ELO song. Because they had Evil Woman by ELO on New York's Liberty City Radio on GTA 4.
So Cara Delevingne as the disc jockey.
That was GTA 5. But
That was
GTA 4
5,
they had that song. I remember just driving about in Liberty City in GTA and Evil Woman was playing. I really love Evil Woman. No, but that is mad because GTA 5, Cara Delevingne is one of the radio hosts on, I think it's one of the pop radio stations. And I fell in love with her voice through that. And then that's how I discovered who Cara Delevingne was, which is a mad way to discover
No,
who
I'll be
Cara
honest,
Delevingne
I
is.
didn't know she was before that either. So
Before that's but I heard her and I was like, that woman has such a sexy voice. And I looked up even who did the voice to find out who it was, and that's how.
I didn't do that.
Oh, score man, bro.
No, because she never lived up to that. Because that voice was just perfect. That was an angelic voice, and the real woman behind the voice could never live up to
It's
that.
how she chooses to use her voice currently as well.
What does she do?
She's just annoying.
She's
She's so cringy.
She's a Megan Thee Stallion simp.
That isn't really no, it's not why I feel annoying really.
No, that's why
It's
Twitter
just
things are annoying.
the crazy, the wickedly, wonderfully wicked way, that she.
On that note, that's my number 3. No, number 2. Number 2. My big fat number 2.
The wee guy's called Dane DeHaan, apparently.
From Ender's Game.
Dane DeHaan.
Oh, he plays.
Who does he
He
play?
played the wicked lady. Now he plays the kid in Chronicle. Dan DeHaan, is it not?
No, Dane was.
Dan.
Dan
Dane
DeHaan.
Dan.
It could possibly be Dan, but it's
I
spelled
think
Dane.
Anyway, he plays the wee weirdo from Chronicle. A wee weird guy who uses his powers for evil because he has an evil
Because he's
stepdad.
a wee dog.
He was in something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
apparently, I'm not being funny. Apparently, his name is Dahan. Like, Dahan. It's fucking weird.
I just said
No, but you said Dan. His name's Dahan.
That's his second name.
His name is Dan DeHaan.
Oh, shite, I'm so shite. Dan Dahan. No, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Dane, presumably. Dane Dahan.
Dane DeHaan, or it might be Dan
That
DeHaan.
sounds.
I think Dan DeHaan is funny, like Dan DeMan.
DeHaan.
Anyway, Cal, what's your number 2?
I did, it's not really important. Well, it's not important.
Okay, we'll
It's actually
skip it
kind of shite. to be
then. Yeah, what's
honest.
your number 3?
No, I mean, it's not like significant in my life. I just think it's good.
Neither was
That's
Twilight,
fair enough.
so-
There's no criteria.
But you said it is, you're thinking all your ideas while you're listening to
Yeah, but
Twilight
there's
by
no
ELO.
event that it was from, you know what I mean?
Well, the one I've done Don't Think Twice, It's Alright by Bob Dylan, right?
What? Why do you pick pure obscure music, man? Why do you not pick something good like Nicki Minaj?
No, I know it's heavy, like proper, like everybody knows and stuff. But I think it's good. It's good, basically. The most bitter song of all time,
It is a good
probably.
song. I like the line in that song he says, the light I never knew.
Node.
No, he says nude.
He says node.
Oh, yeah, sorry, no, he says node, but it's still incorrect. And there's also a line where he says, he uses like some odd term, like an ungrammatical term that I like. I think node is one of them, but I think there's another one he does. Very good song.
Yeah, and I think it sort of what I was talking about with the other one, the Nick Drake song, about how it's structured. I think basically it's not very structured. I think it's quite obvious he wrote it just in a sort of stream of consciousness.
Flow state, they call it.
Yeah, and he was needing a rhyme, which is why he came up with node rather than.
I never know.
Exactly.
Did you see that interview with him recently? Where he was basically saying that it's even mystical to him how he had that ability, and he kind of wishes that he still had it, but it's gone now.
No, I think that's true as well, because you listen to what's the one called? It's Aidan, you like it. He's talking about sipping champagne when there's a woman on my lap.
Yeah, what's that called?
He's
That's
drinking
it. Sitting at the, what's that? It was a theme for a film that he wrote. I think it's called. What's it called? Things Have Changed.
Yeah, things have changed, and I think things have changed. It's kind of obvious again that he's wrote out and structured what he's wanted to say, and like made it fit a framework. I think he's made a framework there. I think it's sort of constructed, unlike.
Hurricane was probably constructed.
Yeah, Hurricane, exactly. Yeah. It's just unlike Don't Think Twice It's Alright or The Lady or something. It's just like he's obviously coming up with it on the spot, basically. Well, not on the spot, but you see what I mean.
I for ages thought it was lay your big ass something on my bed rather than a big fat bed.
It's not big enough to do that.
Lay your big ass, like, no, I'm big.
I'd say Blonde on Blonde is probably lyrically the best album ever written, which is a fairly uncontroversial opinion, but I do like Bob Dylan. I do like Just Like a Woman. Do you know that song from Blonde on Blonde? She makes love just like a woman, but she breaks down just like a little girl. It's really good.
A wee lassie.
Classic.
Nothing but a wee lassie.
Was
that
that
all
all
you
you
want to
wanted?
say about Don't Think Twice It's Alright?
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that everyone would be like, yeah, one of the best songs. It's a solid choice, I'd say, for a thing like this.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the Timothy Chalamet biopic?
No. I think it's going to be immense.
Why?
Because he's no.
He's good though.
People are going like, oh, he's no the character. And I think he's not a character. To be fair. What's this?
People are saying Dominic Sessa should have.
No.
Wait, Timothy Chalamet's playing Bob Dylan.
Yeah. But it's young Bob Dylan. It's not fucking now, obviously, because he's like 85.
I think it's a solid casting choice.
Curly hair.
Curly hair.
I don't
nah.
associate Bob Dylan with Twink, but okay.
We
Bob Dylan was a wee twink.
We've seen
It was quite delicious back in the day.
It's not his second album, The Twinkelicious Bob Dylan.
we've seen Bob Dylan live.
The freewheeling Bob Dylan, The Twinkelicious Bob Dylan.
I thought it was just the version that was old.
Yeah.
But
Well, we don't know if we saw him live, to be honest, we're that fucking far back because he's spec. See, for ages, I thought he was
Being
at the
puppeteered.
front. There was obviously there was like more than one person on stage, and I thought it was at the front. And I was staring at him like, oh my god, that's Bob Dylan. Holy shit, look at Bob Dylan right now. And I realised it's not him, it's the guy that's on the piano.
Yeah, it's really old, and he's like, thanks a lot.
Refused to play any.
Never one of his big songs.
Yeah, and he's
Really?
that's it. Yeah.
It was all because he's
Oh, yeah,
on
you
to
said
Americana
this.
right now. He's
Yeah.
doing the great American songbook. But I like Bob Dylan, the fact that he always reinvented himself. And I think they're going to do a film. I think it's too easy to do the whole early 60s village living Bob Dylan, Susie Rialto. I don't want to do that. I want to see a late 70s Dylan biopic about him finding God and being an alcoholic. And Dominic Sessa could play it then, potentially. But there's so many.
Says he's younger than
maybe
Dominic
it's like
Sessa looks older
June
than these
though.
years.
It's like June, you gotta do the first film to get into the good bit.
Yeah,
what I mean?
they don't make biopics, like they don't do like.
I mean, you gotta do
Bob
the
Dylan
early
Jr.
Dylan days to get into the good bit, you know what I mean?
But then the
Inside
seeds-
Llewyn Davis is, you could just say that's the early Dylan movie. I saw someone on Twitter say that, and it is true.
Fair point.
Well, okay, okay, so I'll go for my number 3. So my number 3 pick is Back to the Old House by the Smiths, which actually never came out on an album. It was Louder Than Bomb, or Louder Than Bomb as an album. It's a compilation album. Obviously because their record company wanted them to put out more music when they were leaving, basically. But yeah, great song, an iconic riff from Johnny Marr and lovely melancholic lyrics from Morrissey. Yeah, classic Smiths song. But yeah, I picked the Smiths. I knew for a fact I was going to have a Smith song in there, just because I think Manchester at the time of the Smiths was probably at the forefront of music. There's no place in the world that there was like a greater wealth of creativity in Manchester at that time, because you had stuff like Factory Records going about just picking underground artists and just giving them a platform. And I think also just growing up in industrial Manchester, just the absolute like derelict shithole there was. You wouldn't even see a tree till you're like 15 or something like that. It kind of makes you strive for beauty, and a lot of people achieve that. But also at the same time makes you kind of go further into the your surroundings, like Joy Division and stuff like that. It also came in Manchester, obviously, and were associated with Factory Records. So yeah, I think just music like the post-punk movement, because actually a sort of interesting anecdote is there was a gig, it was a Sex Pistols gig, early Sex Pistols. The Buzzcocks basically paid for them to come down to Manchester, and they played the Lesser Free Trade Hall. And attending that gig, obviously before any of the famous or even in bands, was the members of Joy Division, Peter Hook, Bernard Sumner, and I think it's just those two, Morrissey, Tony Wilson, all of the Buzzcocks. And it was, none of these people were famous at that point. It was just people from Manchester that saw a flyer for the Sex Pistols and went along to the gig. And then they were so inspired by it. They were so inspired by the fact they were so shite and that they could actually, have a platform and play, that they thought, well, we'll make a star band.
That is true. Inspiration often comes from not seeing people who are really good at something, but seeing people
I
who
can do
are
that.
really bad at something that I could do better than that.
Yeah. So actually, Peter Hook and Bernard Sumner went and decided after that gig, like, right, we're doing this. And
this album is by Peter the Hook, Peter the Hook.
And yeah, so Peter Hook just randomly bought a bass, and then Bernard Sumner went, right, I guess I'll buy a guitar then. And so that's how they started doing it, since they didn't play before that.
Oh, you never knew how much I really liked you. Oh, because I never told you. Oh, but I meant to.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Lovely melancholic.
It's a good song.
Yeah. So that is my number 3.
Friend of the podcast, Morrison.
Friend of the podcast, indeed.
Stephen
If he's
Morrison.
listening, shout out to you.
Probably all be.
Is anyone going to talk any of John Fury's albums? Or?
Does John
Make
Fury have an
Fury
album?
has albums.
Oh yeah.
Punching drums.
Yeah, he does like.
Does he do like hardcore grime or
No,
something?
he does like.
Charlie
Hyperpop.
XCX.
Hyperpop.
Collab.
He does like kind of like. What's the wee?
I'm
guy
gonna
that
dance
does
with Big
that
John.
type? What's the wee guy that does that type?
Bad story.
Yeah, he does the Vance Joy kind of stuff.
No, who's the guy you like? Passenger, wee mummery. Like we hamster.
I used to like Passenger when I was
I'm gonna dance with Big John. I'm gonna dance with Tyson. Right, so my third song, that is a bit controversial one. I fully expect to get some hate for this, but it's a track from the Lin-Manuel Miranda musical Hamilton. You may have heard of it.
It did
And
surprise me.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's getting a whole lot of hate of late because he's a wee quirky bitch.
What was he doing?
Because he just, I don't know, he's very cringe-worthy. I think he's the idea people are making fun of him.
Well, I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's a musical. It's kind of based on being cringe.
Yeah, no, but that's like musical. You can't say, oh, it's so cringe about musical theatre.
This
It's
is
musical
this is coming
theatre.
from someone that likes musical
Yeah.
theatre.
But you know those clips of him where he's like on this Do Not Subway, because he recorded himself like coming up with Hamilton, and he would be like rapping on the subway. It's like I'm Alexander Hamilton, like rapping, and he's just on an empty carriage. Or there's one where he's like sitting on top of his tumble dry, and he's like rapping about John Adams and stuff, and it's like
while it's on.
yeah.
That's
Pleasuring
that's
himself.
autism. That's
No, but
hyper.
you know the picture also from when he's like puts hands in his pockets and he's like he's twisting his legs and doing this or whatever.
No, but I wish I had.
Yeah, he's I'll have to see if I can find it.
Who's the? I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Who's the director or the screenwriter guy that you like?
Hmm?
The screenwriter guy So no.
Oh, whoa. Don't say I like him.
Okay, right, that you have followed in the past.
Yeah, Max Landis.
He is the Max Landis of musical theatre.
Yeah, yes. Let me just check. Lin-Manuel
Hamilton is
Miranda.
not the same as Bright.
The wrong pipe there.
No, but yeah, but it's that. You've surely seen this picture before.
Oh, yeah.
But that's
The
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
cockchain pick where he's
Yeah.
like hiding
But
your
it's the idea, he is symptomatic of the whole like BuzzFeed like early 2010s like stand like I don't know like
Jack's films.
Tumblr.
yeah it's like the quirky kind of like we're different so
Quacked up like girls.
We're different and we're just a wee bit smart.
There's
They like a latte from Starbucks, but it's not a normal latte.
There's a picture where he's wearing lots of fucking hats. Where's that?
So he's quirky. He loves a hat. Quirky people love hats.
so people are what I'm going to say is that people are giving him a lot of hate recently, right? Okay. But I thought, do you know
For
what?
all turn us around, a Mungos whacking.
Yeah, I'm going to endorse him. I'm going to cause a second wind in his career. I think that by saying, if you can pitch the idea of let's have a 2-hour musical about the first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, who most Americans have probably never heard of before Hamilton, and it's a rap musical, and it's all of the characters, including Jefferson and so on, are played by African Americans. And it then goes on to be one of the most popular musicals of the last decade. I think that
It is worth celebrating.
it deserves some commendation.
No, it does.
I mean, it's one of those musicals that even people who don't like musicals, like this guy, are loving it. You know what I mean?
So what made you choose We Know?
Well, We Know it's a track to be honest, it's just one of my favourite tracks because I like the piano riff, okay? But I also think...
Okay. Is that enough for you, little shit?
But also, it does have some relevance to my life, and chronologically, we're moving after the mid-teens, we're going to late teens. I used to listen to Hamilton quite a lot when I first moved to uni, and We Know is a track, I don't know if you listened to it, but it's about Alexander Hamilton being blackmailed because Jefferson and all the Democratic Republicans found out he was having an affair, and then he was being blackmailed by the husband of the woman he was having an affair with to keep it secret. So I thought it's kind of relevant to anxiety and paranoia.
Which you are a big fan of.
Which I'm a big fan of.
Yes,
Yes, I like the idea that it did play that. It made me realise that maybe I like it so much because it reminds me of my own kind of paranoia. But also it reminds me just like when I was late teens and I did politics at uni. And I was very interested in politics, and I thought I'd end up working in politics. And Hamilton is the story of a young guy with a Scottish father who grew up in the Caribbean, and he rose all the way to the top with his Byronic aura, and he became a great
Byronic aura?
Yes.
Why is it, do you think, that the only kind of successful Scottish people, or people that have Scottish heritage, are the people who had like Scottish parents and moved away? Donald Trump.
Because they
Alexander
got
Hamilton,
the
David
fuck
Byrne.
out of Dodge. Got the fuck out of this shithole.
Billy Connolly's famous.
All the good ones left.
Billy Connolly is the only properly world famous Scot left.
It was last
He used to
night.
be Sean Connery, but he's now dead.
It was last night I had a conversation about this exact thing.
Well, I think
Yeah,
Scotland has always been. I mean, don't do this too much, but it's always culturally been a bit of a backwater.
It's
So
all
it follows
people
the
that
Enlightenment, bro.
So well, the Scottish Enlightenment was who's the great figure of the Scottish Enlightenment? David Hume. What was he most famous for in his lifetime? For being an historian of England. You know what I mean? So there's an idea that like Edinburgh, Glaswegians, like
the
Edinburgh's
greatest
not really
Scots
Scotland.
leave
It's
Scotland.
England.
Do you know what I mean?
But even in Scotland, like
That's what happens.
like
The
St Andrews,
greatest ones leave.
Edinburgh, like Glaswegians, like it's not really Scotland. They're more English because they're the ones who actually, had a bit of learning to them or whatever. Anyway, that's me done bashing Scotland.
What about flipping the guy that died with his face in his suit?
Alistair Gray.
I don't think he died in his face.
I did.
Really?
Oh no,
No.
we just met a guy who said he fell asleep with his face in his suit.
Alexander Gray is not world famous. I mean, most people
Mate,
would have maybe
no
heard from
thanks.
would have been maybe heard from some Poor Things, but most people wouldn't even looked into who wrote it originally. I wouldn't have thought.
So yeah, We Know the track from the Hamilton musical is my third pick, and
I was
I
going to
like-
pick a musical, so I'm glad
What
someone
was
did.
your musical?
Well, it's going to be Heathers.
No.
Helens.
Yeah, that's the one about the people with the hair.
The people with
The people with the hair. No, them baldy musicals.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't like
all
they've all
the
got loads of hair and stuff.
They do have hair, but hair does exist on their head.
No, I'm thinking hairspray.
What? That's not even what
Yeah,
the story of
probably
Hairspray is about.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of hair.
Heathers
Right.
is
So
the
that's
one
what it's about.
What the?
based off the film.
I like Les Mis, right? You know Les Mis?
I'm
one of the most
aware
famous.
of
Does anyone know what they mean?
Barely, I've heard of it.
There's a bit in that where there's musicals a lot, and I like it. It's also a new song by fucking Warren Zevon, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, right? Where two people are singing sort of melodies that go together, but they're singing different lyrics, so you can't understand what's happening. That happens in I can't remember what it's called, but Javert, Russell Crowe in the film is singing while Hugh Grant in the film is singing at the same time. That version's shite, but it's pretty good.
You mean they have to interpose the melodies?
Yeah, one is going like the same lyrics that are different from the other one, and the melodies are also kind of going together. That's got
That's just polyphony. That's just contrapuntal music, my
There you
friend.
go, I like
That started with Bach.
But back they
Relevant.
did music, but no, they didn't suit lyrics, did they?
Yes,
Okay, but they're not going against us.
you will soon find out with
Oh,
my.
yeah.
Soon
Different
find out.
lyrics going against
I
us.
also like actually coming back to Hamilton, which is actually what we're talking about. Guys, can you just remember that? I like the historical revisionist element of Hamilton, which is, I mean, no, I don't like historical revisionism, but I find it interesting because it is just the whole story of one man's life.
Yeah.
So it is a musical and it's rap music, but it's also very educational. I mean, Lou Reed said that. He said they should teach kids history through music or whatever, which is a very idealistic idea. But
I think there is. It's definitely a way of making history more accessible and actually entertaining than just.
I think it's interesting
books.
that musical is so dense with lyricism and kind of a story and a narrative. So exactly the opposite of what you said about hats. But I like the element as well, which is that I read Christopher Hitchens' biography of Jefferson probably around about the same time I listened to Hamilton. And it's so funny that, like, to Hitchens, Jefferson is the true hero of the American Revolution, and then Hamilton is Lin-Manuel Miranda saying that no, Jefferson was evil, Hamilton was the great guy. It's similar to how that trilogy novel by Hilary Mantel about Thomas Cromwell totally overhauled Thomas Cromwell's image with an English history, because the whole story up until that was that Thomas More was the same, literally. He was the true, like, enlightenment figure of Henry's court. Thomas Cromwell was just a thug for hire, like a henchman. And then she wrote a 3-volume novel about how Thomas Cromwell was actually the true, like, Protestant genius who took England out of the Dark Ages and so on. I like the idea that people can have very different perspectives on one man's life that is exemplified within the musical.
Well, that's kind of how they used to. I'm going back to saying that they should teach history through music. That's kind of how history or oral history was taught.
Well,
That's
yeah,
right,
we're really,
when Lutz-
we're really, what do you call it? We're really
we are
preempting my fourth pick, but yeah, oratorios. I suppose before people could read, a lot of what they might have learned about history and so on would be through,
the power of myth.
Jesus stories, sung Jesus stories.
No, it's just a really annoying camp counselor. It was a bad fan.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, American camp counselor.
Like, hey guys, well, come on, let's get out the campfire.
Cut this bit out.
I'll be killing it.
Why did you make it?
Does anyone know what meta means?
I don't know.
Break the fourth wall.
Because Tom said like
Yeah, it kind of breaks the wall a little bit.
Because Tom said he was going to edit it.
How can you break the fourth wall on a
It breaks
podcast?
the third wall. The second wall.
It breaks the walls.
There's one wall. Where's the third wall? Sound, vision.
There is an image.
What's that? So maybe that's what's happening.
Why? It's hinting.
Why?
What? Why would you stare at each other? You going to say something?
Because the sound, vision. Maybe that's hinting.
One of
Is
your
that- is that
picks.
Oh right, okay, sorry. I'm very over.
I'm hungover.
I'm also hungover. Not so much now, I'm alright.
Not as much as me.
No, I'm not.
I am the most hungover.
You were a stumbler. You were a stumbler.
Yeah,
That
I
was
was
hilarious.
steaming last night. Were you all laughing at me in the car when I was trying to walk down the street? Yeah, I realised that 'cause I got to my near my door and then I looked back, the car was still there, and I thought they're probably just staring at me laughing.
At least you were, disappointed.
In fairness, I was still there because I actually wanted to see you get in the house
Yeah,
safely
I
because
thought-
I was concerned.
How many goes at the key?
Emma was laughing. But I was like, okay. He's
I was, but at the time I even said before we left, I am steaming.
Yeah, no. We were
absolutely
quoting that.
razzles.
We were like, I am steaming.
So I was very, very ill today. It was not good.
Fun.
Where you?
My number 3. So, my number 3, I actually changed my number 3 very recently because I was thinking through it. And originally, my number 3 was going to be Cyan Hardcore by Machine Girl. It was in there, but it was switched out as I feel it feels a similar niche to what my third pick is now. But I think my third pick has a more personal connection rather than Machine Girl, because Machine Girl I was introduced to in 2019. But my third pick, so that's taking as a runner up, as a honourable mention, after changing it, is Flamingo by Quero Quero Bonito.
Really?
Yes.
I've actually heard that one.
I've played it many a time.
Yeah.
You all have heard it.
Quero Quero Bonito I like.
Mm-hmm.
Sad and sweet.
Although it is probably the most soulless music I've ever heard. Even the woman's voice is like completely robbed of any
It's
emotion,
monotone,
any
yeah.
character.
But that's part of the style.
Mm.
It's I feel like it came at a time when, very similar to you thinking about your like transitioning periods into Beatles liking
Mhm.
T-Rex Beatles, da, da, da. This was at a time, what would that be, 2017, 2018, that was a very transitionary time for me because I had just left school, was in this apprenticeship, then I left the apprenticeship, going into this other job. It was a time of very much this uncertainty. And this is a song, it was sort of like I don't want to use the term nowadays, but it's a comfort song. It's a comfort song.
You would have used that 5 years ago, but not today.
Well, yeah, I feel like the term comfort something it's been overdone, but it was because I just feel like it had the vibe of this it had a positive vibe. You know what I mean? It had that, has this sort of similar to all Quero Quero Bonito songs, but I feel like Flamingo's the one I would listen to the most. But maybe Trampoline as well, but mostly Flamingo. Not just because it was me that listened to it, but because of the group of people that I was hanging around with at the time would also listen to it all the time. It was like a big thing. It was like an in-joke at that point. And I feel like it's just another way similar to how I was talking about Superfly, it was a way I was able to sort of relate to it reminds me of a time when I was relating to other people rather than just the music itself, if you get what I mean.
Use it as
it's
a machine to relate to others.
Yeah, it was like the same way I was saying about Superfly, how it's the one of the reasons I chose it was because it was you guys up in Stirling Castle. That was a very powerful memory, right? And I think similarly, Flamingo is something I can relate back to just this time of being able to relate to people when I was still in this nebulous life zone, we'll call it. And I feel like that's a very powerful thing to harp on. But also just a very fun song. I feel like it's as I say, comfort, it's nice. And I feel like it represents, as I said, the same kind of vibes as Cyan Hardcore. Not as hardcore, obviously, but it still has that sort of hyper poppy, sort of not high tempo, but high energy. You know? And this sort of high energy, I feel like they have on the same genre. And I do, as we know, as mentioned earlier, I do like my high energy music.
Yes, you like
So
to
I
be
feel it.
taking corners at 90 miles an hour to the music that you listen to.
And so, you know, I feel like it needed to have a place in this list. Like, there needed to be one song that represented that part of my music taste. So I feel like that's why.
Stuff like
Kero Kero Bonito, Charlie XCX, Sophie, that sort of stuff. It's like concentrated pop. It's like if pop was,
Gen Z pop.
well, if pop was squash or whatever, it would be like you just have if that would be the equivalent of just having a giant glass of.
What's it usually diluted with, do you think?
It's less saccharine, I think, most pop. Pop is saccharine, but I think that is like as saccharine and the big bouncing synths and the massive.
I mean, Flamingo is just like
It's very simple melody to it, like incredibly simple.
It gets in your head. It's
almost like children's music.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
it's very
Kero
repetitive
Bonito
as well,
is very
so-
much a case of like it's very much inner child music. Yeah, because like even like on the same is it the same album?
Maybe that's why it's so comforting.
Possibly because there's Pocket Crocodile as well, which
Sounds like a children's song.
It is basically a children's song, to be honest. Literally, it's like 50 seconds long. It's about a crocodile you put in your pocket. Sometimes you bites. That's it. Simple, but it's effective.
But is it a word for? Is it like metaphor for like
What's he
there's something in my pocket for you sort of thing? Like
No, it's literally just about a pocket
Why are you
crocodile.
degrading Kero Kero?
Yeah. The album that it's from is actually the whole story of Kero Kero Bonito is sort of that idea of this album was very much a case of this is us in our sort of childhood wonder or age of wonder and everything's happy, and then the sort of the album after that, what you're thinking of, Only Acting, was on the album, a couple albums after that, where Sarah from the singer was like, she was basically making it known that she's fucking sick of it, basically, which sort of caused their whole style to go mental for a couple of years, and they're sort of back on track with Bug Snacks.
See if he took the hook from Coco Melon, dum da dum dum dum, like that. That's Seinfeld. Well, the hook from Coco Melon, that could be a Kero Kero Bonito song.
How far into watching Coco Melon were you before you realised what's Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah, what is that funny George character?
What's Constanza?
what's Coco Melon?
It's a child. You asked
How
that
many times
all
have
the
I
time.
referenced Coco
Yeah,
Melon?
you know what? Don't even.
Just, I'll say
entertain
it's brain rot, right?
Is it animated?
Yes. You don't need to look it up.
I'm looking it up.
But yeah, no, I think that's I think Flamingo really represents that sort of aspect of my music taste quite well, without being hyper doofy, but also thinking about why that music I enjoy it and why it works so well, in my opinion.
There you go.
That's
Cal.
my
Calma, if you want to stop looking up what Coco Melon is and give your third pick.
Okay, I'll do it. I like Costello, with Elvis Costello. I think he's good. I like most of his albums and stuff. The song I chose is Almost Blue, right? And which is a kind of jazz-ish song he did. Quite good. It's about basically he's dating a woman now and she's reminding him of an old lover or whatever. And he's a bit glum about it, basically. Well, like it was well written. I think it's like a combination of the two I've done before, which is why I chose it, because I'm very structured, you see. And whereas it starts off almost blue, almost doing things we used to do, so on, right? But then it gradually just becomes more frantic in the way it's written. So it's sort of very calm, gentle song, but about halfway through the lines between rhymes are increasing, and I think he's doing it in a way that he's being more frantic, like this is mad, I'm feeling this way, and then he's going back to realising that he can't have the old one, he's got the new one with the almost blue, so on, verses. It does end weirdly though, he just goes for some reason at the very end. It's pretty strange, but I think it's good.
When I listen to it, it really reminds me of Nina Simone. It's just he has the same. Nina Simone has quite a raspy voice, and he has I think the way that he's singing that song, obviously with the piano as well, is like almost exactly the same sort of tonality as Nina.
Yeah.
And this guy's a bit of an expert when it comes to Nina Simone, so
I bought a t-shirt.
exactly, he's got the
I
shot.
got a t-shirt.
So
Didn't Poppy, we said Poppy yesterday, Poppy.
the greatest Mongol listener.
Didn't Poppy buy
She sent me, my sister's a massive Nina Simone fan, more than me, I'll admit that. And Poppy got a Gmail from Spotify, not Gmail, an email even from Spotify saying, Nina Simone has got some new merch out if you want to have a look at it. And then she sent that to me saying you should buy Emma this for her birthday.
Yeah.
Well, Emma's birthday isn't until a year away, so I might just cop that myself. So
Why
within 2 minutes of her showing me it, I was a medium size t-shirt. That was mine.
Why can't you just buy a wee sister something out of the blue?
Because I wanted it.
Something nice.
It's mine. It's mine now. Was that all you want to say about Uncle? Or do you want to have some more?
No, not really.
What made you choose it?
Just like it's good. I like Elvis Costello, and I thought, well, we need to pick a serious one, so I picked that.
But was not serious.
He's very bitter man. Elvis
Is Bob
Costello.
Dylan not?
It's a second, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say.
they're probably
Because he'll never be the most famous singer called Elvis.
yeah. No, he chose Elvis. He thought,
Why?
my name's like Jim or something. He went, fuck it, I'll come and say like Elvis, see if it gets
Jim
me.
Costello sounds like some
Some
music hall
boy.
singer from
No,
Southeast
Sounds
Glasgow.
like a sign.
When's your Russian birds are coming up the tenement cruise?
It sounds like no, it sounds like mob boss Jim Costello.
Jim Costello was one of the greatest singers we ever had in Brixton.
I don't know if he's named Jim. I don't
No,
know.
it'd be more like those were depressing years. You had acts like Jim Costello and
I remember you'd get your mum would come home on a Friday night with one bottle of Coca-Cola and a big bag of chips, and she'd say, right, we're going to watch Jim Costello.
aye, so it was lemon curd night, mate. We got to have lemon curd that night. So we treat
Get your brown wholemeal toast and a bit of
Sure,
lemon curd.
brown hole. Yeah, brown hole that mate. The lemon curd, of course.
And Jim Costello, I mean, he was absolute shite. But we did used to listen to him quite a lot, man.
He's always writing these songs about how he's kind of a bad woman and so on. You don't have to be a woman.
As in women aren't good enough for him.
Yeah.
Or is he just hates women?
No, it's weird. I don't know. It's a bit misogynist maybe because like watching detectives about.
What was that? What was Alison about?
Alison's about a woman going with his.
Wait, Elvis Costello has a song called Alice?
Yeah, he's also got one called Veronica.
Veronica,
Yeah,
that's
so that's
funny.
both our mothers' names. He got.
Probably Dots, you know. But
Yeah.
Not really.
Thoughts not us.
There's many people with mothers called Veronica or Alison.
Right, but yeah, so Alison's about his mate getting well off. Watching the detectives about a girl not having sex because she's watching a detective program. What's the other one? I'm Not Angry is about he's seen his mate having sex with a girl that he's going with, and he takes a photo of them. Like Blame It on Kane's about he's just a general asshole, and he blame it on Kane. You know, you want that one out. I don't know. He writes a load of songs about being a prick, but
I did like Costello. I had respect for him because I saw that he did a collaborative album with the late great Burt Bacharach shortly before he died. We covered "I'll Never Fall in Love Again," which is quite good because it was sung by a woman originally, but he did quite a good cover because that's quite a high voice, doesn't he?
yeah. I was nearly going to do Burt Bacharach song. I was going to do what's it called?
The Look of Love.
Yeah, I like the Look of Love.
Dusty Springfield's version.
Which is very similar, I think, to.
What's it all about, Alfie?
It's similar to.
Cilla Black. That would have been a mad choice.
It's similar to. I think the Look of Love similar to almost.
I reckon Cilla Black has been on Desert Island Discs as a guest more times than she was ever chosen.
I don't think she's ever been chosen.
I like the speaking of people choosing Desert Island Discs, right? You know Miles Davis, right? Not Miles Davis, that's bad. Other trumpeter, what's his name? Louis Armstrong, right? Louis Armstrong went on Desert Island Discs and he only chose his own fucking music.
Respect.
Honestly, yeah.
I feel like also it's like, oh, choose music that you can talk about your life with. It's like, well, okay, I'll choose my own then.
No, but
That's
But it's not really in the spirit of the game.
Yeah, you're on a desert island, you want to listen to your own music, yeah?
Listen,
He loves himself. Fair
Yeah.
play.
I would choose the first 4 episodes of Mungos.
Why?
Have them on LP.
That'd be so depressing.
Yeah,
like
but
you're
no,
stuck on a
because
desert island listening to conversations you used to have with your friends.
But then I can pause it and then I could give another answer to you.
It's
Right.
like when you're in the shower and you try and win an argument.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah.
It's pure, I mean, it's pure.
That happens to me.
So shite that you think, man, I don't know if I can use this fucking gun. Oh wait, I've listened to that, bang, that's you've gone.
Wow, really dissing the wrong one.
I'll tell you something, I do that in editing. It's like, what happens, I'm not smart enough to think about something at the time. Well, when I'm on the editing session, I'm like, I
Is that why you keep putting your voice in after the fact?
Yeah.
Like mad with it.
But if they
Just
ever,
over whatever Calum was saying at the
if
time.
they ever invite me on this island, I'm going to pull a name up Powell and say, just pick 6 Wagner tracks and then say I want to kill myself.
I did kill myself before a Mungos, so I
Yeah. But I ruined my life with that blessed podcast.
who's next?
I am next.
For your
Uh,
final
Final pick. My final pick is Sound and Vision by David Bowie, which is from the album Low. R.I.P. Yes. Which is from the album Low, which is the first of the Berlin trilogy when he moved to Berlin. So he was in LA before when he was doing Station to Station, and he had a crippling cocaine addiction. And him and Iggy Pop decided to move away to get out of this town. Because of like they were destroying themselves essentially, and chose to move to like the cocaine capital of Europe for some reason.
I thought it was heroin.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they went to Berlin.
Iggy Pop was a heroin, but Billy was a cocaine addict.
No, because Berlin was a heroin
Well,
place.
I think okay, maybe the Iggy Pop, the heroin thing, but cocaine. The Bowie is definitely a cocaine addict, and so yeah, they moved to. Well, actually, they first moved to France, and that's where they recorded the first half of Low, and then moved from France to Berlin. But yeah, so I just think it's the best Bowie period, in my opinion, the Berlin trilogy, which is Low, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, and also Station. Why?
Ashes to Ashes.
No. There's one everybody goes on about.
Heroes.
Heroes, yeah. Actually, I don't like Heroes at all, to be honest. I like Scary
Not a fan
Monsters
of
and Super
Heroes.
Creeps. I like Low. I also really.
It's not Station to Station, it's a Berlin.
No, Station was LA.
No.
But
You know how Bowie produced Transformer?
yeah,
Have you listened to the Lou Reed album Berlin?
no.
Lou Reed has an album called Berlin, which is a concept album. It's quite good.
All right.
But he moved to Berlin as well, I believe, because he loved heroin.
Was heroin big?
The opposite these.
Yeah, I think it was
Massive,
crazy
yeah.
to get it.
There's a funny story Alice Cooper tells about people going to visit Iggy Pop in a mental asylum, and I can't mind.
We also produced The Idiot, or no, co-wrote The Idiot with Iggy Pop there when he was in Berlin. But yeah, no, I think Bowie, it's kind of the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think Bowie is a genius in his own right, but he's also a genius for the people that he chose to work with. And at the time, his producer was Tony Visconti, who I think is the greatest music producer of all time. And he was also working with Brian Eno as well. Brian Eno wrote a lot of the songs in Low, including Sound and Vision. And yeah, it has a really lovely like ambient feel, obviously inspired, and I think it's probably David Bowie at his peak creatively. Yeah, I just really like Sound and Vision in particular. It's sort of just like the wall of sounds that comes with the synth piano, and yeah, it's just probably my favourite David Bowie song. It represents why I love him so much, just because he wasn't selfish in terms of his writing. He didn't want the complete control. He was able to give it over to these other incredibly talented musicians as well, and then made some fantastic music as a result of it. So, yeah,
Ashes to Ashes is probably my favourite Bowie song. Is that in the
that's
Berlin?
Scary Monsters, Super Creep. That's in the Berlin period. Yeah,
I like that song.
that was going to maybe be the pick, but I chose Sound and Vision instead. Yeah, that's my number 4.
So, should I do number 4 now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for my final choice, I thought I'd put in So I just opened my phone and I got a text from John, and he says, all caps, exciting news. Rangers got beat today by the second bottom team. I said,
Who was the second one?
that's what he didn't say. But
I like how he has to translate football for me.
yeah.
The second bottom team, by the way, yeah, you won't know it.
Exciting news. All caps. Anyway, yeah, my 4th choice, I chose a classical piece. I thought, well, I'd be the only person who chooses a classical piece, and I was. But it's from.
That's because it's gay, mate. That's why.
Aye.
That's all I want to say about it.
Yeah, but David Bowie's not.
No, he's a red-blooded heterosexual. He married a model.
There you go.
He's got a son called Zoe.
They can change his name to Duncan.
Back, I can see why.
It's the track from the Johann Sebastian Bach oratorio St. Matthew's Passion, which is taking the text of the Passion of Matthew, the gospel about Jesus' death, the lead up to his crucifixion, and transcribing the biblical text into a kind of not spoken word, but they sing the text, and it's set to kind of music that has recurring musical motifs. And I chose not really a track, but a section from it called Erbarme dich, mein Gott, which translates as "Have mercy on me, God." And the kind of refrain in the track is saying, "Have mercy on me, God, for the sake of my tears," which is sung by the man who plays Peter, and he's singing that after he denies that he knew.
Plays Peter as an opera, isn't it?
It's not an opera, but they have there's a singer who sings Peter's parts, or a singer who sings Jesus' parts.
So it's consistent.
Yeah, and he's singing that after having denied being acquainted with Jesus. He denies him 3 times in the story. Sorry, spoiler alert if anyone doesn't know.
Can't believe you spoil it.
Yeah, and it's just, Matthew's Passion and Bach. It was Turan who said if there's anybody who owes everything to Bach, it's definitely God. I think it's obvious. Let me too gushy. I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever written. It's very moving, and that section of Army is quite a famous section from it because it's just a very beautiful piece, about 6 minutes long, and I think I'd pick one that was a bit more serious because I think that track and the whole Matthew Passion story is like a dramatisation of the greatest story ever told, the death of Jesus, the most dangerous idea ever told. And it obviously reminds me of my interest in religion, which came after politics, and I was interested in Christian religion in particular, and interested in philosophy as well. And I suppose my introduction to philosophy, the other subject I studied at uni, would have come through kind of naive moral philosophy. And I think
you did love Catholic thought.
Yeah.
You did love Catholic thought.
But it just symbolises kind of spiritual, religious side to my personality, which I might have, or would like to think I have.
Would you call yourself spiritual?
You don't even believe in God.
Well, that's the
Or be ghosties?
Aye, right, you believe in ghosts, don't start.
I don't believe in.
Would it be right to say you would like to believe in God?
I think everybody would like to believe in God, surely.
I don't believe in ghosts because I think it's superstition, but I'm open to the idea that demons might exist because I think it's consistent with the kind of metaphysical concept of there being good and evil, of there being God. I don't think ghosts exist because I think that is just a superstition. I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster or whatever. I always say you're not allowed to believe in ghosts unless you also disapprove of premarital sex. You can't choose to get the spiritual elements of religion but not have to follow the religious moral precepts.
Really religion, is it?
Exactly, it's superstition.
Yeah.
It's taking the superstitious elements of religious life, which is the worst part,
But
but disregarding the moral, metaphysical side.
Christian religion. Those were around before Christian religion.
Yeah,
When the pagans had all their mad wee banshees and ghosts and
exactly.
spirits.
It's superstition. Protestants can't really believe in ghosts anyway because it presupposes the existence of purgatory. So there shouldn't be any Protestants believing in ghosts, certainly. And obviously they don't exist. So that's another good reason not to believe them.
Or any ghost listeners are.
That's what they won't do.
Yeah. Not really a funny one, but I did want to choose that. I wanted to make a serious statement in choosing that. And as I say, it's not just high-minded. I really think that Bach's Matthew Passion is one of the greatest pieces of music ever written. I think Bach's excellent.
I was quite moved.
You listened to it?
Yeah, I listened to it twice.
Very nice, very nice. I know you didn't listen to it for a fact.
Yeah.
What was it actually?
Because you wouldn't have known which track it was.
Yeah, this is the problem.
But you never asked what track mine was, so I thought, I know that you didn't listen to it because you wouldn't be able to see
I
what it was
think I've
called.
heard it though because our friend did.
No, that's from, he did a performance of Bach's Mass in B minor. B minor.
Is that a different thing?
Yeah, it's different piece of music.
I'm very sorry. I didn't listen.
Did you listen to any of them?
Yeah, listen to yours.
That is surprising.
Why
Is that because on the way here I put Tom's on?
No, because you know I listened to this because I looked up the
Oh,
final
fair enough,
one.
yeah, because I had to send.
I listened to yours and all.
Yeah,
Even
no,
though I knew
You would
yours.
have known that anyway.
I listened to most accepted one. I listened to that Hamilton.
I thought I'm just taking this first.
The Hamilton one. I didn't really like the Hamilton one because I didn't think it went anywhere.
What do you mean?
Well,
Well,
it's
it's one
part
piece
of
of
musical.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
one goes
Yeah,
to-
I
well, that was
don't
why I
think-
asked
I
why
don't
you
think
chose
that
that one.
would be the best. The best.
I think if it represents the rest of the music, I can see.
It represents the rest of music,
Yeah.
as I say, it did have that, it did make me think of, well, I'm a kind of paranoid guy. And I do like that song as well. I think it's quite catchy.
There's always one in the musical where it's like, oh yeah, that's the one. That's
What's the
that's
one?
standard.
What's the song that's like? Oh, so it's the first song, but it's like Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton.
We are waiting in the wings for you.
Yeah.
That's the first track.
One of the three sisters. So
The Skyless. That's a good
That's
track.
a banger. That is a banger. That one.
There's nothing rich folks love more than going downtown and slamming it with the poor.
He says as he slides his cap sideways and busts it out.
It's very true. I mean, look at Kanye's clothing collection. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Did anyone else consider putting any classical music at all?
No.
No.
I'm not.
I'm not on
Alright.
classical music listening.
It's interesting because you do get. I find on Desert Island Discs, the older guests just chose exclusively classical music, and then the newer guests always just choose exclusively popular music. It's rare that you get a guy who puts, the Beatles, and that wouldn't be that far-fetched. They would maybe put something like Elvis Costello and Mozart.
I
There
feel
seems
like
to
if
just be
you're
down the line people who
just putting classics, you're just trying too hard.
No,
I
I-
just
I-
went to private school was what happened.
Yeah, that's what.
There are some people who would just exclusively listen to classical
You
music.
know Oliver Reed. What did he choose? What was his music?
I don't know. All I know that is his special item was an inflatable woman.
Do you know what? Respect.
I don't know what his music
So I
was.
can float to civilization.
What was Carl Pilkington's one when he did a joke one on what was his? Because Ricky Gervais said he chose Novocaine as his special item, luxury item. It's type of medicine you take for toothache, but I think it gets you high.
Oh.
Yeah,
Why don't you just take drugs?
I don't know.
Right, there's a
I
legal
actually don't know
so
very
you're
much
gonna
about
get arrested.
I don't actually don't know very much about Novocaine, but I kind of surmise that's what it was. What was Carl's? Do you remember what his luxury item was? Anyway, you're number 4.
My final pick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I said at the start, my final pick sort of brings the zone down. After the highs of Flamingo, it brings it right down, gets it more relaxed. The tone comes right back down, and it's more of the relaxed side of my music taste. So originally this was going to be Nokia by Matt Watson, because I think, it's got that sort of, it's got a little bit of hyper pop flavour, but I thought, you know what, I want to choose something that really, again, has a moment, and it's not, because I feel like, I think a better representative of that vibe would be Lamp. And I think the one that I chose, in English, it's Act 1 of A Fleeting Spring. But in Japanese...
That's such a Japanese sentence.
Yeah. Because it's from the album Phantasma. And actually, you can't actually find it in English. So I needed to send Callum a YouTube link for it. Because
No, I found it. I looked up the band and I did listen to it on YouTube, but I thought it was easier on the phone. I just looked up the band and it came up. It's very popular, I think. It's one of the favourite ones, I think.
it is, well, as a banger. So in Japanese, they call it, right, I'm going to read this out because I might get it wrong, but Hakanake Haru no Ichimaku, right, which is Act 1 of A Fleeting Spring. But the whole reason I chose it was because there's a distinct memory. So basically, this song is what first got me into wanting to go to Japan.
That
Wow.
song.
It was one of the key contributing factors to getting me into it.
You want to listen to you want to go to Brazil, man, because it's just bossa nova.
Listen, it did convince me to think about it, but the favelas brought it down for me. So, but yeah, no, it was definitely a sort of pre-inspiration.
What's she actually singing about?
It's basically just about I was quite similar to the one of yours, but it's about like a fleeting love. The idea of the classic idea of like it starts in the spring and then over the summer the love wanes and it's the classic trope. But I think it's a simple song, but I think the melody and it's a similar idea with like what you're saying at the back. I just think the actual melody in the song was so just beautifully done. I was like, I'm entranced, and when you're hearing that, and in my old house I would look out the window of my room while doing computer things.
That's true, you don't have a window.
Yeah, but now I just live in a cave. But I would look out over the summer and the sun would be there, and it's just a very distinct memory of mine that I have that playing in the background. And I'm like, I want to fucking go to Japan, man. And that was the first memory of like, I should go there. So I feel like that was a big thing.
There's an Art Garfunkel song called April Comes Around. It's very much like that. It's talking about the love that he has with the seasons waning.
The Garfunkel, right?
I think so.
Most pointless band member a band's ever had. Couldn't play any.
Simon and Garfunkel. It was Paul Simon that wrote it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So it was a Simon Garfunkel song.
Simon Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Art Garfunkel did fuck all.
Honestly, man, that guy. What was he even doing? He sang some of the time.
He was the sex appeal.
He sang quite a lot of the time.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't think there's one song he's singing on his own.
Yeah, but he sang with
Trouble Water.
Simon.
That's not true.
Right.
I mean, I can name a song he's singing on.
What song?
So Long Frank Lloyd Wright.
Right. Exactly. One of them. Shite one.
What do you mean exactly? I just disproved your entire hypothesis.
It's a shite one and all. It's a shite one and all.
No, that's a good song. That's why I know it. He sings that.
I like what's
because there's a bit of background. He was an architecture student, so he said, Paul Simon, write me a song about Frank Lloyd Wright, because I want to sing a song about him. And Paul Simon had no idea who he was, so he just made up a song about a lover, but substituted the lover's name for Frank Lloyd Wright. And got him to sing it.
I like El Condor Hassel, what it was called. If I could. Is that the name of the thing? I like that one. That's an honourable mention, probably.
Yeah, sorry for hijacking that.
No, I was going to say, I'm trying to think of a song. It was there and now it's gone. It was a perfect example of one. I was very tempted to put on, you love this tune. I was very tempted to put on April Showers.
What's April Showers?
He used to absolutely torture me with his fucking April Showers song. When we used to be right wee gonks and we had our own wee gonk room instead of going outside at break because it was scary Neds out there. He used to put on April Showers every day, and he used to do it because he used to annoy me. Because at first, he put it on one day, and I was like, "This is really sort of annoying song," and I just kept putting it on and putting it on. Until one point, I just sort of accepted it was going to be on. I didn't even notice it, and then it kind of came back.
Yeah. And
after about a month of just having it on without me noticing it, I was like, started to really piss me off again. But yeah,
it was I genuinely did like it at first.
You said that you were in that room for your own safety. I think maybe you were in that room for everyone else's safety.
It wasn't a decision we got put there.
Yeah, everyone's fucking politeness, man, because the fucking smell that was coming off you.
Everyone's
razor sharp wet there.
Yeah, but the April Showers was definitely a contender, just because of the memory of annoying you with it.
Yeah,
it was like Jimmy Neutron right now with that hair.
Great for the
listeners at home.
Oh yeah, he has a big curl on his forehead.
Big cow's lick.
Yeah.
Jimmy Neutron used to have pointy hair.
Who's
did have a lick.
Yeah, I think I was right. It's Jimmy Neutron.
Aye, well that's my pick number 4, Lamp.
Lamp?
That's the band.
Oh,
Act 1 of A Fleeting Spring, there you go. There's the song.
Same Jaffrey's here?
Fuck's sake.
Oh no, off the cuff.
No, I can't remember it. It's
a big sentence, man.
I'll do it.
Alright, I'll do it then.
You can see. I'll remember the end of it. I don't remember the first one.
Up to one of the fleeting
No,
It's got racism there for the listeners.
It's right. Okay, so as it's happening,
you can do it, that's allowed. They're rich.
So what you're doing there is you're remembering what I said with Katakana.
Why can't you do African countries, girl?
Because they are more rich.
Right.
Maybe they're
That's
Japanese,
it.
man. Do you know what I found
We don't
out
know
actually?
punchline.
Here's
Their
something I
Norwich
found out.
sounds like a Japanese word.
A bottle of Coke in Japan, 91 pence. Do you know how much I paid for a bottle of Coke in Canada?
3 pence.
But no.
No, but
More?
60 to 90 pence. So they're not that much richer, mate.
Wow.
But
Per
if
person.
The economy crash prices.
Yeah.
but you're saying that Uganda can't be that poor because they have Coke the same price as Japan.
No, I'm talking about like Japan can't be that rich because the Coke is currently about the same price as a Ugandan Coke.
But you would expect Uganda Coke to be really more expensive, right?
No,
Yeah, because it's a
It's
luxury imported item.
it's not imported. They make it in
But if a poor country had Coke at 20 pence, I'd assume they were really rich. If a can of Coke was £7, I'd assume they were really poor
Why?
why?
because it's a luxury imported item.
Yeah, but if it's £7, nobody can afford it. It's not going to be in the country.
But it would be like only really rich people can afford to drink Coke in that country.
Yeah, like a big, really rich guy, like boasting about, here, by the way, I've got a fucking can of Coke, mate. Ain't that good?
Yeah, but even
Yeah,
then,
there's
it
so
would
much
be,
Coke
the
that
idea
honestly.
would be that it would be the same price, but only one person would be able to afford it at the same price as everyone else. Not the point.
Yeah, rich people are always showing off about how much Coke they have.
Status symbols, economy, it's all great fun. Capitalism. Speaking of fun, what's your last pick, Callum?
My last pick is called The Infant Kiss by Kate Bush, right? It's a fucking weird song, right? But I like it.
It's from the same album that The Wedding List is on, which I also.
Yeah, Rainless good. But this one, I don't know, I pick the sort of song ones, right? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I think what is that? They're all songs.
I mean, like, they're kind of singer-songwriter.
Singery.
They're not very upbeat. Anyway, what's it about? It's about essentially from the lyrics, it's about a woman falling in love with a child, right? That is the lyrics.
Is it a metaphor for like?
I thought it was a
parents?
No, it's the plot of a horror film.
Oh.
The film's called The Innocents, right?
Uh-huh.
And basically in the film, a ghost. It's a Hammer horror film because Kate Bush likes those, hence Hammer Horror, another song she did. But she basically, a governess, his dead husband possesses a small child, right? And then she falls in love with the child,
Right.
which is a pretty horrific image, obviously. So she writes a wee song about that. And I just think it's well written. I think it's clever. That's all.
She really liked writing songs about movies that she watched.
Yeah.
Because obviously Wuthering Heights, she actually hadn't read the book, she watched the film of it,
Yeah.
and then wrote it. And then The Wedding List, which is a song I just mentioned, that was a film about a woman that seeks revenge for the killer of her husband who was killed at the wedding, and the husband's killer was on the wedding list.
Hammer Horror is about Hammer Horror.
Yeah, so
She likes.
she liked the movies.
Yeah.
Isn't Oliver Reed a Hammer horror actor?
Yeah, but then some of them. He's in one called The Brood, which is pretty good. He plays like a nutty psychologist who somehow infects children with something or other that makes them evil.
With the woke mind bias.
Something like that, yeah.
I think Oliver Reed was doing that, to be honest.
But his character was because he's an actor.
He's also in
So it
one.
works.
He's also in one called Paranoia, which is about basically he pretends to be a brother to inherit something, and like the father's actually dead or something. I can't mind. It's a strange film. It's in some of them. It is in some of them. But I don't really have much to say about it. I think I just think it's good.
Johnny Lennox.
Uh,
And then non-say Lennox.
I like the bit where she goes, "At home they'll call me dirty," which is basically like, "Mate, I'm an once." It's proper.
Oh yeah.
And they asked her, it is weird, because they asked her later, what do you think of the fact that this sounds like you're a paedophile? And she goes, "Well, I've never heard of that. Fucking weird."
What, you'd never heard of the phrase paedophile?
Yes, you'd never heard of what a paedophile was.
What age was she?
I don't know, like 17 maybe, 18,
Do you think you play
Like,
that?
she sang that song while she was 18.
something like that maybe.
Right, that's more
No, she would have been older
forgivable.
than 18, so that wasn't the first album.
So I mean, she's not exactly pro it. Let's believe the bit about at home they'll call me dirty all the time.
This is making me think, what if I just picked 4 Gary Glitter songs?
I would have laughed.
Has anyone ever done that? Like, you know what? He's just a great musician.
Boy, yeah, Michael Jackson.
I like to
What,
separate
Michael
the art
Jackson
from the
chosen?
artist.
For his.
No, I'm saying anyone that chose Michael Jackson.
Alright, no, but I'm saying, no, but it's more of a statement of it because Michael
Just,
Jackson.
yeah, I mean,
Michael
because he's a guy that is not known for great music, he's not
Yeah.
being annoyance.
Michael Jackson has sympathisers.
Michael Jackson, Jerry Lee Lewis, Gary Glitter, and who else?
Do you know what actually?
Oh, Rod's. No, Ralph. Thinking Ralph. Two little boys with two little toys.
Oh, yeah.
It's that guy's name again.
Is he or not?
Yeah.
No, that was Jim Costello.
Yeah. No, but the guy, the sheet metal.
Oh, Rolf Harris.
Rolf Harris.
Yeah.
Rolf Harris. Yeah, Rolf Harris.
Meganons.
Fucking Time We Can Get It Down, the best song of all time. I know the guy's a bit dodgy, right, but that's the best song of all
Tell
time.
you something actually. It was. Now you say Michael Jackson. Do you know they have Michael Jackson's handprints in a glass case? In a red.
on the bum of a small child.
In what's it called again?
So
Tower
I think, man,
Records.
right smacky, man, it's crazy.
Tower Records in Shibuya. They have Michael Jackson's hands.
Alright, are they in wet concrete?
Yeah.
Or dry concrete?
And it's like this big thing. It's like Michael Jackson. So I don't think the allegations have hit over there yet. To be honest.
Oh, do you remember the clip of that guy and he gets told by Conan that Jeff Epstein is dead?
Oh yeah, Jim
Yeah.
Downey.
It's like, he's dead. Ha! Nice try. Nah.
No, Jeff Epstein, the New York financier.
Yeah. Get Delaney on the phone right now and she'll say,
Oh!
I guess the last time I spoke to Jeff would have been pre-COVID.
Miss Ghislaine's still going, she dead.
She's in jail.
Yeah.
She's in jail. What for?
Take a wild guess.
Alright.
Soliciting young.
Doing some dodgy stuff.
Aye.
Doing some dodgy
Well,
stuff.
Right, we're finished now.
Speaking of it, yes, paedophile. Well, that's obviously one of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't they would play that in all the paedophile conferences, like Labour's things only get better?
So by choosing this, are you trying to tell us something?
No, I just think it's a good song, but it is a creepy song, isn't it? It's weird.
I listened to it. I put it on the playlist on Spotify, and I was like, "Is this about a mother and a child? What is this?"
Yeah,
I thought it was a thinly veiled thought of him, but
no,
It was a bit odd. It was a bit odd, but I thought it was just I just chalked it up to some weird singer.
Tip bit bullshit, if you know played before. Two truths, one lie. On you go, Tom.
Thank you, Cameron. So, as we know from last week, we went to see the amazing experience that was Godzilla vs Kong,
XCOM.
XCOM, The New Empire. Clearly a favourite film among us. So, from that love of that film, this week's Tip Bit Bullshit is going to be based off Godzilla and the kaiju in general. So, number one.
Is it the real kaijus that exist in the world?
Possible. The original. I've written here Kong Kong, but it's the original. The original King Kong vs Godzilla, directed by Ishiro Honda, was only made because his mentor apparently hated American movies and what they stood for, which is including Kong. Unfortunately, because of how the original film turned out, his mentor refuses to speak to him and refuses to speak to him for the entirety of his career, and his mentor refused to touch any more kaiju movies because of how disgusted he was of the original Godzilla vs Kong, because the way it ended.
What year did that come out?
1962.
Godzilla vs Kong came out in 1962.
Yeah, 1962.
So the guy who made it, his mentor never talked to him again because he thought because the film had been corrupted by an inclusion of Kong.
So basically, he hated King Kong. He hated the original because he hated American movies, right?
So he wanted Godzilla to kill King Kong because
So
King Kong stood as a metaphor for American film. And Godzilla
yes, basically, but the studios and stuff and agreements sort of stood in the way of that. So basically, at the end of the film, it's a highly contested thing, even to this day, is who actually won in the original movie. Because at the end of the movie, they kind of both fall off a cliff, and so it's kind of it's up to interpretation in a way. So yeah, basically his mentor was like, "That's not good enough, mate. That's not on. That's not on."
It's mad they had a Godzilla vs King Kong film in the
Nin-
early
yeah,
60s.
that's-
It was the
shocked me.
first kaiju
No,
crossover. That's why it was
no,
such a big
yes,
event
man.
when they redone.
That was it. They made like hundreds of those films.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. That's obviously true.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's
But I think that's all true. Can we have tidbit number 2?
Tidbit number 2. So one of Godzilla's most iconic attacks from the Showa era was seen, especially in Godzilla vs. Megalon in 1973.
This is false.
As a classic flying drop kick. This is where they took the Godzilla suit, took the actor out of the suit, laid the suit horizontal so the tail was lying on the floor, and shot the suit at a high speed, like on a rail, towards the actor in Megalon.
Like 2 foot kick on the
Yeah, basically, they took this continuous shot of this Godzilla suit horizontally, flying towards this actor.
drop kick a Megagon day.
No, that
And
is true.
what's it?
And that is now the Godzilla dropkick.
I think that's false.
I remember something like that in the video game on the GameCube where they're playing.
You had that GameCube.
I was going to say.
Fucking old are you?
Number 3, the third tidbit. Shin Godzilla by Hideaki Anno was a film about evolution, right? And the second form of Godzilla in that film, he was called Kamada-kun, right? By the public, not by the film itself. So this idea of the public, they latched on to this Kamada-kun because of the Japanese idea of ugly cute, right? Something
Is that what Kamada-kun means?
No, Kamada-kun was called Kamada-kun because he surfaced out of the water in the movie in the Kamada district of
Right.
Tokyo.
And what is Kun?
Kun is just a suffix for wee guy, basically. So like san or whatever, you know what I mean? So basically he became a real life mascot for the Kamada district in Tokyo. So they now use him and his wee ugly fish-like face.
I think I've heard of that.
I've heard of the ugly cute phenomenon.
Yeah.
No, I think I heard that he's a representative. I think maybe you mentioned it before. So as I said, I'm right. The second one's false.
Nah, first one's false.
No, second one's false.
I don't think the second one's false. I think that's too specific. I think it's pretty good this time. This would be good.
It is good, but it ain't good enough because I think
You're
I'm
the
right in
second
saying
one,
the second one's false.
So I see if the first one's false. I think the first one can only be false as this is a true story, but actually what happened in the end of the mentor of the game or whatever. It's
I think
just a
just-
tiny flip.
I don't think. I think it's just they made a film. They made a film because they didn't like American.
It happens actually more often than you think, because you know Miyazaki, like there's like people who they made the shit film like he didn't get and you just never talked to him again. It almost happened with his son in that film. Do you know the famous one?
Oh, I wish I did.
I know his son made it to Ghibli.
He
film.
did not like any,
Yes.
and basically he almost
Is that
wouldn't
the one that
talk to
way the
someone.
winds or whatever it's called? It's got
can't remember
wizards.
the name of it.
Proper shit.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Proper
But
shit,
it happens quite a lot in the Japanese film industry because they're very much a case of like don't piss off the mentor. But Honda did it.
Well, they like their elders, the Japanese.
Remember that wee guy got pumped my wall syndrome and I went back to fucking Oscars.
That was Miyazaki.
You need to respect your elders, man. He's one of the elders.
Or
Is that easy?
the wee rabbit movie fucking ruined you, mate. Too right, never went back to Oscars. Prick.
The second one is false. I'm sure. I'm sure.
I went he was smiling and laughing when he was saying it.
Because it's
fair,
funny,
it
man,
is
isn't
kinda
it?
funny. So,
It's just the image.
oh god, I don't really know.
But remember the GameCube? I'm sure Godzilla did
I
like.
don't remember the GameCube because I wasn't born in 1992.
The GameCube was about the same time as like Xbox.
Was this like Destroy All Monsters?
original, which I also didn't have because I'm too old for.
Destroy All Monsters has some fun. I think you're talking about Destroy All
Yeah,
Monsters.
I'm
right?
sure he had like a 2 foot kick you could go for the moth guy with.
The Mothman.
Oh god. Right, what was the third one again?
Third one was Shin Godzilla and how
Oh,
Kamada
right,
can-
yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll keep things true. First one, if it is false, as I say, it'll just be a small flip. Or you've just retold a different story and said it was for a different
See,
film.
some elderly filmmaker in 1960 Japan definitely would have had like xenophobic hate of American cinema,
Yeah.
and wouldn't have been happy with King Kong beating up Godzilla.
Yeah, I think the basis of the story is
That is the
definitely
whole
true.
story.
No, I'm saying the story is true, but I think maybe he could have taken it from someone else and flipped. That's the only way in which I see that being false. Whereas the second one, it seems it could be false. So I will go with number 2.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll say one, but
Well, you are right. Number 3 was, in fact, true.
Mhm.
Kamata-kun is a
I
representative.
think you've been mentioning that to me. So
Yeah.
it brings some
They
distance.
love a mascot. They love a mascot.
And the
But-
whole Kamita-kun thing, he knew straight off the bat.
Yeah, what the translation was.
You know where it comes from, which is like it was too good to be ad-lib.
But sorry, boys.
Oh no.
Number 1 is actually false.
I fucking tell you, man.
There is, in fact, a very funny clip of Godzilla versus Megalon where Jet Jaguar grips Megalon like that
Of course.
to get drop kicked, and they do genuinely hold the suit with a wire and throw it at the actor.
Yeah.
Apparently, it really hurt the actor.
Oh,
Because he
So,
got
so was the first was that right? Was the first one based off something else? That's
So,
completely fictitious.
The first one is, yes, it was directed by Ishiro Hondo. It was not made because his mentor apparently hated America, but that was kind of one of the reasons why Godzilla exists. Was it's debated whether Ishiro Honda, who directed the original Godzilla, hated America, and that's why he did it. He's never admitted it, but there's stories from his crew as to if he did actually hate America.
Anti-American sentiment is in Godzilla, the original.
Well, he's
Nuclear bomb.
Bikini Atoll, mate. He was made from Bikini Atoll, so I know. So he's representative of the fear of nuclear bomb, so which America dropped. But his mentor never stopped talking to him. That's not a thing.
It's all made up.
Made that up.
There we go.
But the Kong Godzilla film from '62 wasn't never made.
No, that's a real thing, and it's real that the community does. They do argue to this day who won the film because nobody actually knows for sure. But that was the thing is they couldn't have someone.
The giant monkey or the giant lizard.
It was a big thing
Shit.
because it wasn't just that. Because at the time it was a case of like Japan versus America. You know, it's a big thing.
They
So
made
they
a film.
But yeah, no, that's
Cheering on some fucking scripted film, man. It's like wrestling. But anyway, that's.
Well, if I watched Braveheart and at the end of it, I mean, like it actually did happen. They just hung Ronnie Guthrum and then pans to the king and made him the hero. Like, that would be a bit annoying.
To be fair, the scene where King Edward, throws his son out the
Oh
window.
no, was it before? Because no, Edward was against Robert the Bruce, so maybe it was
But
before.
it's Edward Lionheart, right?
No, Robert the Bruce was Edward Lionheart. He was that. So he was
Yeah, but I'm
No,
talking
it's the
Braveheart.
same.
Braveheart's
It's
well
Edward
involved.
the First. It's Edward the First. Yeah.
But you know the scene where his wee son and Piers Gaveston, I think, are like, nah, he's gonna name him right, and he just throws his son's lover out the window. I was like, yeah. Because it's like John Fury, and his son brings home a wee twink, and he's like, nah.
Well, nah.
Throws him out the barrack home.
It's when he threw the gay guy out the window of the son.
He throws his son's lover out the window.
I remember
What was it he says? He says something like, he has a good line. That's it. The line is good. Is like, I would do this because I've actually studied like martial arts, not martial arts, the art of war or whatever. He's like, oh really? And he just throws it out a window. That was that's definitely the only moment in Braveheart where Scottish people are like,
that was pretty sick.
Because he's homophobic.
It's
Well,
not,
yeah,
it's
he's been a wee arse.
it's not homophobia necessarily. I'm sure there were Scottish homophobes in the 80s or 90s, but it's just the idea that he's like,
No way.
yeah.
I remember in history, me and Cam did history together at school, and we were talking about William Wallace or whatever, and I thought when the teacher was talking about Piers Gaveston, his name was Piers Gaviscon, and I found that so
It
fucking
was
funny. That was
howling.
laughter.
The
Like,
teacher
it caused the lesson to be interrupted. I was laughing that much.
The Society at Oxford, which had as an initiation rite the fact that David Cameron had to put his member inside a pig's head, was the Piers Gaveston Society.
Wow.
Whoa.
Is that real? Did that happen?
Is that bullshit?
What do you mean?
Did he actually do it? Did he not?
Yeah.
I
It's
think
not
it's
disputed,
yeah, he
probably
did do it.
confirmed that he did
Did he
it.
admit it? Like,
Well, to
I
get
checked
into the
up
club, you have to do it, and he was in the club.
Yeah.
So,
Is it the same pig they use?
we'll pick it.
I can't imagine it's the same pig for
Yeah, 'cause
40 years.
Because it's raw, very horrible,
Yeah.
very unhygienic.
Maybe that's part of the hazing, bro. You need to get the disease. If you survive the disease, then you're in.
You have to be hard.
I would hope not. Otherwise, that's a bad sentiment.
One guy just got it wrong and was hard. I was like, hey.
That's the test. The test is if you get hard, you're out. Because you don't want any mad wee farm boys in there.
Velvets, aye. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure they'll tell that.
Oh, that's what it says. Who is this man who speaks to me as if I needed his advice? That's what he says. He throws him out the window. No, it's like not even looking at him, he just looks up into the roof and says, who is this man who speaks to me? That's great. Great scene stuff. Anyway, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, yeah, kill these Scottish bastards. Treacherous, wee, untrustworthy haggis.
Do you know Billy Connolly says that? He says Robert the Bruce was a prick and all this.
He was a prick.
Imagine being the Scotland's premier guy.
Premier.
I mean, he
Stand
wasn't the best of people. Let's be honest.
He's
He
better
gets-
than Lionheart. Lionheart was a
Well, yeah, but like he wasn't. He was a mercenary. He wasn't like the noble fantasy warrior.
He's a fucking ugly as well. Remember they recreated his skull?
Yeah.
He was the ugliest bastard you ever seen in your life.
Do you know what?
Scottish
It's
man,
accurate, yes. Well, thank you for listening to 10 episodes of the Mungos podcast.
We really appreciate your singular listener.
Thank you to our singular listener.
Yeah.
We are all very thankful for anyone that bothers to listen to this. Thank you.
Nah,
you.
nah.
I do.
We shouldn't be begging for listeners.
Yeah,
We should be like,
fuck
yeah,
the listeners.
you should be listening.
Yeah,
It's a good
fuck.
You're welcome. After 10 episodes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's all.
And
You're
we'll, if,
welcome
and if
for
we'll
listening
do
to
more
this
if we feel
podcast.
like it.
Yeah.
You know, because you'll always be around. Don't worry about that.
Well, after that lovely 10th episode, gents, I feel like we should be
What?
kebab.
Yeah, I'm starving. Let's get some.
That was in the middle of a sentence. You should come up with kebab.